Hey guys, what is going on? It's your boy Darius Burgess coming back with another video. And basically in this video, I want to touch on a couple subjects pertaining to not just the black community in general, but basically just how other nationalities kind of apply this, or just ethnic groups. And that thing is group economics. Now, in an earlier video, I kind of described it because I kind of put it in my other video on basically like why I moved back with my mom or whatever the case may be. Me and my brother, because we were originally staying in Seattle, Washington, and I stayed out in Washington for about 9 years. But the whole aspect of group economics just intrigued me so much that I couldn't turn down the opportunity. Now there's a woman on Facebook that I follow, and basically she kind of brought it to the attention. Now I was aware of group economics prior to her saying something about it, but she kind of just gave it a more in-depth overview of how she's doing it with her parents. And by the way, the lady is 40 years old. Her kids all stay together. They all stay together. And so the whole aspect of group economics was that because all of them as a family unit, they stay in the same house together. And what that turns into is, now let's say your rent is about $1,500, right? Everybody breaks that $1,500 up. If you have, a certain amount of people in the house, basically one by one, everybody's paying their fair share of the rent or whatever the case may be. You're just helping out with the bills because it kind of takes the load off of one person, which makes perfect sense, right? But I wanted to talk about it and how I'm applying it, and basically how I feel like if you have this opportunity, take advantage of it. Because one thing I be seeing a lot is, especially in the black community, is the minute someone turns 18, we're forcing them out into the world to kind of basically do for themselves. Or if not only that, at 18, we're basically like trying to make them, or even at 17, we're trying to make them go out to the world and go get a job and basically pay us rent as parents. You know what I'm saying? And I'm only saying this because this is what I've heard of in the past. I was reading a thread not too long ago, and on the thread that, most of the parents on the thread were saying, because I kind of searched it up or whatever, and on the thread, the parents were basically saying that it teaches kids responsibility. It teaches kids what they have to experience in the real world. So you're giving your kids, quote unquote, real world experience by making them pay rent. That makes absolutely no sense. And here's what I'm about to tell you. Because what should have happened by the time that they're 18, this is how you teach your kids responsibility. You teach them how to manage, and basically how to fix their credit. Not fix their credit, but how to manage their credit and to have good credit. You know what I mean? You want to teach them about taxes. You want to teach them how to effectively write off their taxes and stuff like that. Obviously, if they want to be a business owner. I'm going to teach them financial literacy. So when they turn 18, they gotta go get a job. It's stupid, because what you're doing is just setting them up for failure, right? You're showing them that basically that's not a real world example by trying to make them or force responsibility on them. You have to give your kids time to grow. You got to think, they just went to school for 18 years. They didn't learn anything financially. I'm sorry, they didn't go to school for 18 years, but they went to school for 12 years. Didn't learn anything financially. And now you're saying, I'm going to make you pay me rent to show you responsibility. when I was reading that, it actually kind of made me a little bit upset because you got to put a kid in your wait, I can't say put a kid in your shoes, but put yourself in that kid's shoe, right? Think about it when you were 18. Now, if your parents or some made you pay rent, then I honestly think they were wrong as well, because no parent should be taking money from their kids to help them pay rent. By the time, because most parents by the time are about 35, 50 years old anyway, you should have your own stuff together. So by you taking rent from your now granted, if you have a lazy kid or whatever the case may be, they just don't want to do anything, then obviously you have to make them do something. Then yeah, it makes sense, you know what I'm saying, to kind of. But if you have a kid that has a dream or goal in life, they want to accomplish something, then I don't think it's wise to sit up and say, oh, you got to pay rent when you turn 18 or 17. You know what I'm saying? So I think we set kids up for failure, to make them feel like when they turn 18, they have to go out in the world. And then that's how a lot of people end up back on the streets, or they end up in a bad position because they were forced to pay rent, or they, you know what I'm saying, obviously had a clash. And I get it. Granted, in this video, I get it. Some people don't have that luxury to say, oh, I can go back home, or whatever the case may be. You still have friends. You guys can bunk up in the apartment. You know what I mean? Group economics basically is just you guys coming together, and it's like I said, instead of everybody's paying rent individually, you guys are paying rent together. And so that way it allows you to not only save up for retirement earlier, it allows you to keep your debt down, or pay your debt down, and actually build good personal credit so you can have an 800 credit score. So, when you get your finances up, if you want to branch off on your own, you being able to do that. So, aside from all that, like I said, the little 18-year-old, I don't think you should, make an 18-year-old pay rent or something when they just turn 18, because they're not even really drinking age yet, You just basically are forcing them to, pay rent, which is crazy. But I do think you should, at that time, make sure they're on top of the game. Make sure that they know about the world they're surrounded by every day, because it just makes no sense to set them up for failure. Now, with the group economics thing, back to the woman, she was saying how she stays with her parents. She's about 40, her parents are about 60. And she has her 2 sons, obviously. One of her sons is in the military, I believe. And then her other son, he still stays at home. But they all have 700 credit scores, and they have a good amount of money in the bank. Now, obviously, I don't think her son is probably going to stay there forever. I don't even think she's going to eventually stay there forever. But this is why I think group economics is important, because the whole money thing, Americans, especially Black Americans, are struggling the hardest, you know what I'm saying? And for that to be a topic of discussion just says a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to get better with taking care of ourselves financially, mentally, you know what I'm saying? Our health health is wealth, you gotta take care of your health. And I get it. Some people they're gonna watch this video and they don't get along with their family members. I get it. It happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I definitely understand. But like I said, you gotta find somebody that's on board with the whole program, and get with them and see what you guys can come up with. Even if it's a sibling, get together. There's actually people who do it as far as just siblings. They get together and they practice group economics. I think group economics is a very important way to move forward in life. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, I'm not taking away from nobody's grind and hustle. If you feel like you can go pull it off by yourself, then go ahead. Cool. For me, I've stated in the other video, I do not like paying other people rent. I'm not saying that I don't like paying having my own share of responsibility. it didn't make sense for me at the time. I was paying out in Seattle, I was paying $1,300, 13 to about $1,800 for rent. Okay, and you got to think that is ridiculous sometimes, because it's like we're talking studios up to a 3-bedroom. You know what I'm saying? For me, if you're just starting out and you're trying to get yourself together, it doesn't make sense if all this money, see, because there's a thing called cash flow, right? So a lot of people may not know, but like in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, kind of Robert Kiyosaki kind of breaks down how cash flow works. It's your assets minus your liabilities, and whatever you have after is your cash flow. Now, when you have a lot of bad debt, like credit card debt, you have housing loans and stuff like that. That stuff takes away from your cash flow, and you become negative. So, what you want to do is be able to turn that negative debt into positive debt. So, instead of you paying out so much money, you want to be able to be siphoning money back in by getting cash flow. So, cash flow is basically, like I said, assets minus liabilities, and then that turns into a cash flow. Now, most Americans, black Americans especially, do not have assets. They just have a bunch of liabilities. So that in turns, it just makes it even worse, because like now, these guys just don't have any money, and it's like you just go on to struggle through life, and then it's like crazy, because it's like now I see people, they working at, you know, certain places where they have no business working at. You know what I mean? They're tired. Especially if you're knocking 50, 60 years old and you're still doing physical labor. It just goes a long way. So, you know, that's pretty much my take on it. Is what's group economics, and why I think it's important to actually practice. You know, like I say, if you have a family member that you get along with very well, you know, get with them and that, you know, and see if this plan works. Even if you guys had to go in on a house. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But I think that should be the wave for the next years to come. Because if you're black and you're watching this video, you know how hard it has been on black people for the last what, 200 some years or whatever the case may be. So Martin Luther King, you know, he died, and that was not too long ago. That's had to be over 50 years ago. So that wasn't that long ago. So you can see when the civil rights movement happened, it was definitely a thing. So you know, take advantage of that, man, to understand, and you know, go learn group economics. And if you have kids that are 18 or 17 years old, don't force them to pay rent. If you're struggling, honestly, that is your responsibility to take care of that. You know what I mean? You can't, by trying to make your 18-year-old or 17-year-old pay rent is a recipe for disaster. And it doesn't help them one bit. You know what I mean? You have to make sure from the time that they're born to teach them financial literacy. So that's pretty much all I had in this video. I want to address that because it was kind of on my mind. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the thumbs up. And also, man, share this video too. Let me know. And let me know what's your thoughts in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.